What do you mean PSA won't cut a check? They don't know who I am? No one does. What is up and welcome to the channel. On today's episode of Watching Me Have a Good Time, I have my Zero Recoil AK build, chambered in 7.62x39. So I've always wanted to do a build where I could see just how far I could take an AK to it's just at the bleeding edge of cycling, almost like you would a competition gun, or for folks that shoot fast and they just want just enough recoil to cycle the bolt and eject that cartridge and grab a new one. So after a while, I decided, you know what, why not? I want to give it a go. And I wound up with this. And actually, I think it came up pretty cool. Something a little different from what I normally do in terms of setups, or even the questionable rattle can job that I did on this, but I kind of like it. It looks cool to me. So let's talk about what exactly this setup is, right? So to start off, this is a PSA 103 that I have got my hands on, and I don't know, made it worse or made it better. You could argue both. Most of the AK 103s or the PSA AKs, they're very soft shooters from the factory. And so I thought to myself, can I make it shoot even softer? And through a handful of things, we got it there to the point where it's AR-15 soft shooting. It shoots as soft as like an AR is what I would compare it to. But it's chambered in 7.62x39, which, as many of you know, or maybe you don't know, 7.62x39 has more recoil than 5.56 does typically. And so by taming this down, you can just burn down targets on the trigger while mitigating recoil. So the idea of the build is to cut down on recoil as much as possible while still reliably ejecting and picking up a new round to go in. So you don't want it to get to the point where it doesn't work at all, but you want it on that bleeding edge of reliability, so that way you're getting the least amount of recoil possible to use the shooter, which makes for a really fun setup and a really fun gun. So we started off with an AK-103, PSA AK-103, I should say, which are already notoriously soft shooting rifles. And that's what I thought made it a good candidate to see if we could take it even further and just see how far we could push the envelope and what it would feel like and what it actually will do for you as a shooter if you continue to tone things down a little bit. So AK-103 is the base, and let's start up here. We have a really aggressive muzzle brake. This is a JMac Customs muzzle brake for the 100 series, because they have different threads up here. And I'll include which one it is. So moving on back from the JMac Customs brake, we have a Kyber Customs cheese grater. I think that just looks really good on this AK. And I like their products in general. I actually like the cheese grater look personally, and it just adds a little bit different look to a rifle. And then from there, underneath, we have a shark fin that this particular one is from PSA. But as you can see along here are slots for M-LOK, which I think is awesome, because you can add a couple of, weapon lights, an IR laser, and you still get the classic wood look, and obviously with it being a shark fin, so you get a little somewhere to grab. It gives you a good place for your hand to go, in addition to adding some functionality while retaining kind of a classic look of a wood furniture AK. And so obviously you can see I rattle canned this It looks a little crazy, like a weird hexagonal pattern. I thought, why not? I just wanted to do something different. So, but I kind of like how it turned out. So going back from the upper handguards, we have a K&S piston. I've always wanted to use a K&S piston, and I wasn't sure if I could get away with it with this rifle because it already shot so softly. There was a questionable amount of gas already going through it to see if I could even cycle the bolt with a K&S piston. After some trial and error and some tuning with the K&S piston, I got it to work. I am receiving some of the benefits of that K&S piston, and so that I'm thrilled about. I should probably show it, huh? So right here is the K&S piston. I have no idea if you guys can see that or not. And so the way that it works is you drill out your original piston, put this in, and then you throw a roll pin that is included in it. And it gives you the ability to open and close. There's a little, I don't know if it's gonna show it to you, but there's a little hole right there that you can increase or decrease the gas based off of the position of this. I guess it's a locking collar or something like that. Anyway, I've always wanted to use one of these. These have been around for years, and people traditionally put them in overgassed AKs, and I thought, why not throw it in one that's already kind of undergassed to see what we can do with it. And I'm pleased with the results. These things are awesome. And there goes my bolt. So the K&S piston is basically the star of the show when it comes to this, because it adds a tunable feature to the gas system. And then from there, based off the ammunition you're using and then your particular gas port sizing, you can alleviate some gas. It's never going to give you more gas. It's only going to take away gas for anybody who's interested. So it may or may not work for every system. So besides the K&S piston, here I have a old EOTech. You can tell by the markings. It's got the old L3 logo that for law enforcement military use engraved on it. We have the EOTech sitting on an RS Regulate mount. I've had this thing for years. I love it. It does hold zero really well in my experience. They are rock solid. I absolutely love these side mounts. The sling is actually an old school Magpul MS1, the first generation that Magpul did of their, their slidey boy slings. They've been gone for years. I assume they make other ones now and they've updated the design. But this is one of the OG ones, man. I was looking for a sling and what I had, and I saw this and I was like, oh man, I forgot about these things. It's been years, man. And we have the sling fixed up here, attached with a very high-tech piece of paracord. But if it works, why not? So those are just the basics of what I have in this build. The gas port sizing from the factory, the JMac muzzle device, and then the K&S piston. They work together to make a very soft shooting, really fun platform. I will say that the trade-off of getting such little recoil out of this rifle and 7.62x39 and these setups is reliability, right? You're taking gas out of the system, and traditionally that is what makes AKs incredibly reliable. Well, part of the reason is they are usually going to be really overgassed because the velocity of that bolt helps with the reliability factor of these weapons, and really any weapon in general. So the softer shooting like an AR is, or an AK, usually that means it's not going to be quite as reliable as something that's quote unquote combat gas, something along those lines. So that is the huge trade-off. So I've had my fair share of messing with the piston to try to get it dialed in as good as I can, given the particular ammos that I've been using. This is Tula, which ironically has given me the hardest time out of the several ammos that I've tried, and I've adjusted the K&S piston for whatever reason, the toolless seems to be the least reliable compared to Barnewell, and I have some Wolf Military Classic I've been using as well. And toolless seems to be more finicky with this system and the way that it's set up, which is okay, because at this point I'm really pushing the envelope of what you should be doing with the rifle in terms of expectations of cycling. So it's okay, it's not a big deal. I just have to tune it a little bit differently for that particular loading. So as a demonstration of how flat this thing shoots, we're gonna shoot a bill drill real quick for you. Whoa. So as you can see, it's probably not quite as fast as a tuned 5.56 or even a 5.45 gun. Truthfully, some of the softest shooting rifles, intermediate cartridge rifles I've ever shot were 5.45s. One comes to mind, that was a Bulgarian kit, and I'm not exactly sure the specifics of it. It could be due to the heavy nature of the handguards. Like, he had it all Zenit code out, which adds like 5 pounds to the whole system, the whole setup. So that very well may contribute to some of the perceived soft recoil of one of those systems. But this, for 7.62x39, with a little practice, and maybe you could adjust a few more things on it. Like, for instance, you could try using a Wolf 10% increased power spring and then adjust the gas. That might, there's a couple combinations of things that you could use to further refine your shooting experience with one of these platforms. But yeah, overall, it's kind of a meme gun a little bit. I wouldn't use this for any serious application. At this point, it is a range toy entirely, but it is super sweet, and it's so much fun to shoot. It puts a smile on my face every time. If you like shooting 7.62x39 AKs, I would tell you to try a K&S piston, assuming you have enough gas to use it. I know there have been instances where they will not work even when all the way closed. But if you think you can get away with it, they're pretty cool. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe. I really appreciate you.